Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So
It's great to be here.
The diversity team, we are so happy to sit with you this morning and have this end of year chat with you as one of our featured leaders for this end of year special. So to start, we'd like to, do you have something to share with us, part of the things that you accomplished for this year that we are rounding up? We'd like to share some highlights with us.
Oh, of course. I think some of the highlights that come to me for different reasons. One would be, of course, the water feeder main break was a big deal for us in that we rely on water to do our work, and very quickly we were told after the main broke that we would maybe have reduced pressure, reduced flow, reduced access to water, and potentially in some parts of the city no water at all. So we instantly kind of put some emergency processes we have in place in terms of making decisions and making things happen very quickly, and started to plan how would we continue to provide service to Calgarians without water or with less water than we normally expect. So that was a highlight in terms of how my team performed, from the frontline firefighters on the street to my management team, and very quickly we rented some big pumps, found some pickup trucks to tow them, mapped out all the places we could get down to a river or a lake or a reservoir to pump, and then mapped out how far could we move that water away from there to fight fires. And it was very impressive to see the team do that, and the firefighters embrace working in a very different way, and trying to use less water, being more aware of what water they were using and whether there was any decrease in flow that might threaten that water supply. So I can't say enough about how our people responded to that. Happier notes, we reopened Engine 23, which is a fire engine inside of a library at the Fish Creek Library. It used to be at the Central Library downtown, and we use that for educational programs. I was just reading there last week with kids, and it's a wonderful way to interact with the community. We have the opportunity to do some fire safety messaging, and beyond fire safety, care with needles and all kinds of things that can be harmful. But also, within that is the encouraging kids to read, because we know kids that read, for the most part, do better as adults than perhaps those that don't. So it's beyond fire safety. It's a community service, I think, for us as well. So it's just wonderful to see that as well. We are accredited by an agency for the Commission on Fire Accreditation International that look for fire services that are leaders, that use data to drive their decision making, that focus on continuous improvement. And we were accredited for the 6th time. You get accredited in 5 years blocks, and every time you have to go through the whole process again and show everything you do, how you do it, what kind of mechanisms you have for making decisions, what kind of records you have. And I was very proud to be in Dallas, I think it was, halfway through this year, and receive that 6th accreditation for Calgary Fire. Very few departments are accredited around the world. There's about 320, and even less of those have been accredited 6 times. So I think it's something that we're very proud of, and that the community should be proud of as well. And it really is something where we can check off through our peers who come in and evaluate us that we're indeed providing a good, relevant, sustainable service to the city. Outside of that, we put our 2nd medical response unit back into service after it had been lost to some reductions a number of years ago. But those 4 things, I think, are big highlights for me.
Wow, you really had a very, very interesting year.
Oh, yeah.
I must say that those 4 highlights are very, very commendable, especially with the library, with the kids that you mentioned, very commendable. But I know that within the year you also had some challenges, which it's inevitable. Would you like to share some of those?
Yeah, I mean, some of those, the water main break was a challenge, right? But out of it came some great work. We continue to be challenged as a community with, a growing number of fires that we go to that are caused by lithium-ion batteries. They're the batteries that are in our cell phones, our cameras, our tablets, our power tools, our e-scooters, e-bikes, right up to, of course, electric vehicles. And worldwide, there's a problem. inherently they're safe. They're not unsafe. The problem is when they get damaged or when they get overcharged or perhaps when they're not allowed to cool when they're charging. If they're replaced with batteries that aren't certified by North American, European kind of standards, and you know they're not as well constructed, they can be a problem. And just with anything that stores a large amount of energy, which is what a lithium-ion battery does, it stores a massive amount of energy compared to previous battery technologies. Okay. It's like you have a can of gasoline, it has a massive amount of energy. You have a tank of propane, it has a massive amount of energy, and it's safe, provided you know you look after it properly and you kind of handle it properly. But we are seeing more and more of those kind of fires now, and it goes right from fires on transit, fires in home, fires on landfills. When the garbage truck comes around and picks up your garbage, if you've thrown a lithium-ion battery in your garbage, the actual truck crushes stuff and can damage the battery and start a fire. And then when it gets to the landfill, it's put in the landfill, and you have these big machines that come along to crush and it can damage them as well. So you know these are popping up everywhere as a challenge for the community and for us. They can be very aggressive fires, and they start very quickly. So those are a couple of the things that I can think of in terms of challenges for us right now.
Okay, that's pretty intense. So as part of your plans for the coming year, what do you have in place to cope some of those challenges that you have seen this year and you have mentioned? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, we continue to, we actually did a lithium-ion awareness campaign, education campaign for the public in November. Okay. We're going to continue to keep pushing that message now, because just doing it once is not enough. Mm-hmm. We're going to form a group across the city and pull together, you know, we're going to lead the group, but we're going to pull together transit, we're going to pull together waste and recycling around the landfills, pull together some of our planning folks to think about, for them it's to think about, well, where do we allow electric vehicles to be charged, you know, and what's the risk of that, you know. So we're going to pull together every part of the city that has an involvement with lithium-ion batteries and share knowledge and see what we can do to reduce the risk. So that, and we're continuing to look at different ways we can fight fires with lithium-ion batteries. And often the challenge isn't so much fighting the fire, because ultimately if you put enough water on it, it will cool it enough to eventually go out. The challenge is it often reignites, and what do you do with the damaged battery is a bit of a problem for us today, because there's places where you can recycle batteries that are not damaged. There aren't many places today where you can dispose of ones that have been damaged. So there's challenges we're still working on, and we continue to train our firefighters about the risks of these and how to approach those kind of events. So that's our plans with that specifically in terms of moving forward.
Okay, thank you. So as we wrap it up, do you have any message for the people of Calgary? How do you like to tell them how you want them to keep safe this season? Yeah,
of course. I mean, first of all, happy holidays to everyone who's looking at this today. It's a great time of year for being with family, and you know, it's the start of the transition into the next year, which is always very exciting when you consider New Year's as well. But of course, you know, people who have Christmas trees, especially natural ones that get dry, be very careful. They become quite flammable, so make sure you're probably it's time for it to leave the house, perhaps when it starts, the needles start dropping off. I think about the electrical, the lights and all those, make sure they're all in good shape and you're not overloading circuits or anything. If you're using candles, be very careful, as you would any time of year. Those are some things to think about over Christmas. And of course, fundamentally, as you see on our Christmas tree here today, think about, do you have working smoke alarms in your home? Do you have working carbon monoxide alarms? Because we've seen a lot of carbon monoxide poisoning or potential poisonings, and of course with at least one fatality here in the last month or two. So really good way to keep your family safe. And then also with your family, sit down and have a home escape plan. So if one of these alarms goes off, you know what you're all going to do and where you're going to meet and how you're going to get out of the house and who's going to call 911 and stuff like that. Especially if you've got children, make sure they're safe, of course, because they're vulnerable just as our elders. But I think that's my best advice I could give you in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.